What's up? I'm about to do my top 10 Detroit Pistons rivals of all time, as of right now. Of all time. Top 10 Detroit Pistons rivals. Number 10, Pistons versus Hawks. Back in the day, back in the 80s, these two teams used to go at each other. Even today, these two teams go at each other. And the Hawks always give us some problems. They always make it hard for us. And sometimes the Pistons give them problems too, but lately they've been getting the upper hand on the Pistons. And yeah, man, it's been pretty tough going against the Hawks, man. For real. Dominique Wilkins, they had Spud Webb, Doc Rivers on that fucking team. Man, they used to go against the Pistons, bad boys and shit. Them games used to be. I watched some of the games back then. It was kind of fun to watch. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, check that shit out, man, people. If you haven't. Number 9, the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks is one of our biggest rivals. Simple fact reason is they just are. They always played us tough. It seemed like we always go against them in the playoffs. Well, usually we do. I remember that one year the Pistons swept their ass. But yeah, like this team used to give us problems, especially maybe in the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001 ish. That time period when they had Ray Allen and Mike James and fucking what the fuck, Joe Smith, CL Booth and shit. They had motherfuckers like that. They used to give us fucking problems. I don't know why, but they did. That team used to give us hell back in the early 2000s. Okay, number 8, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, man. I know they've been busting the Pistons ass like, well, they did. They beat us the last time we played them, but the Pistons usually get the upper hand on them. But that one time, man, the main thing I remember when the Pistons went against them in that 2000, what season was that? The year the Heat went to the finals. That was in 2006. They went to the finals and shit. So they beat the Pistons. I think it went 7 or 6 or some shit like that. I think it went 7. I think or 6. I can't remember exactly, but either way, the games was intense as fuck. Like I think we still had our full squad too. I think we still had Ben Wallace and Rasheed and Tayshaun and Rip Hamilton and Billups and shit. But I think the reason why the Pistons lost against that Heat team is because our bench was not deep. We didn't have a good bench. That's why we lost against them. Yeah, we had a good starting lineup, but that's about it. That's about it. The bench wasn't supporting you with nothing. I think Darko was still on his fucking team too. Darko is fucking trash. He been trash since day fucking one. I could be a better player than Darko Milicic going into the NBA right motherfucking now. I'll produce more than him. He's fucking horrible. They had no fucking bench. But yeah, the Heat beat us, and Dwayne Wade was arguably the best player in the NBA at that point in time. And then you had Shaquille O'Neal. He was still in his prime, but towards the end of his prime, not in his prime, but towards like the tail end of his prime. You had Shaq. He was still averaging 25, 26 points a game. And yeah, man, they beat us, man, straight up. This was a young Dwayne Wade though, when he was athletic than a motherfucker. That Dwayne Wade, not the Dwayne Wade you see today. I mean, he's still a good player, but athletic wise, fuck no, too many injuries, and he's older. So, but yeah, they gave us some hell, man, for real. Go back in that '06 season, they gave us some problems. We gave them some problems too, though, but they gave us some problems too. I think in '05. I think what year was that? In '05, we went against the Heat again. We went against the Heat the year before that too. We went against the Heat, but the first time we beat them, the second time we didn't. in 05. 05 we beat the Heat. It was the same team, but we beat them the first time. The second time we lost against them. They beat us. I guess that was because the Pistons was getting older and shit, so that made sense. But yeah, the Heat, they gave us some fucking hell. Number 7, the Hornets or the Bobcats, whatever. Charlotte Hornets, Bobcats, whatever. They gave us fucking hell. This team still give us fucking hell. I'm telling you right now, you watch people, they overlook this rivalry like a motherfucker. You go watch this shit right now, and you gonna see what the fuck I'm talking about. The Hornets or the Bobcats, they give us fucking hell. I remember the Bobcats, they used to bust our ass, and the Bobcats suck. They suck, and they killed us. They used to suck, and they beat us sometimes. That used to piss me off. But they started doing that shit after Ben Wallace left. You know what I'm saying? After they did this after Rasheed Wallace, I think, left. That's when they started doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? So they gave us fucking hell. I remember they used to have Raymond Felton and Emeka Okafor. I think Jason Capona was on that team for a year or two or some shit. And a bunch of nobodies I know. You know what I'm saying? They used to give us fucking hell. To this day, Kemba Walker and Jeremy Lin and goddamn Jefferson and fucking Lance Stevenson, man, they used to kill our fucking ass, man. I don't think Lance Stevenson's on that team anymore. But they used to fucking kill us. The fuck? They killed us this year, man. They murdered our ass, man. They embarrassed us, man. That team pisses me off for some reason. They a fucking pest. Like, they is a pest. That team is just a pest. Like, they always in the way. They always in the way for some reason. I don't know why they always play us so fucking hard. Every time they play us hard as hell. If you know, if you're a Pistons fan, you know what I'm talking about. They always play the Pistons hard as fuck. Now, between 2009 to 2013, they was busting our ass. Let's face it, our team sucked ass. This was a time period when we was going through coach after coach after coach after coach and shit like that. Going through coaches like a motherfucker, like we go through underwear and condoms and shit. And then we went through players. We had bum-ass players. We had Kyle Singlers and fucking Jarekos and all these garbage-ass players and shit. And Stuckey, whack-ass. Stuckey fucking trash as fuck. We had Stuckey with his no defense and no jump shot having ass on our fucking team. He gave us nothing. He was our best player, and he gave us nothing. We sucked ass at that time period. I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you. We sucked in 2009 and 2013. So, even 2014, we sucked. But yeah. Number 6, the Spurs. The Spurs, man. Going back to even the early 2000s, we used to play the Spurs tough. This year, I know this how much you know ESPN or whatever, they cared about this game a little bit because they put it on their channel earlier this season. The Pistons was on the road against the Spurs. I'm like, what? What? I'm surprised. You know what I'm saying? They put the Pistons game on ESPN against the Spurs. I know the Spurs beat us, but the game was fun to like the fourth quarter. Then the defense fell apart. They played the Spurs pretty damn tough, and then last year we beat the damn Spurs in San Antonio, so it was pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? Pretty fun ass shit. Reason why we lost because of Steve Blake whack ass and our bench ain't shit. So yeah, and then the early 2000s we used to go against this fucking team. Remember in the finals and shit? I know y'all remember that shit. In the finals, we went against this fucking team and went 7. We lost. That was the year after we won our championship. Even though I thought the Pistons should have won this series. They really should have won this series, like, for real. I thought the Pistons got hold. Real talk. That's why I was getting pissed. I remember watching this shit. I got so fucking mad. And I was young, way younger back then. I got so fucking mad. I had my I had my Chauncey Billups jersey, yo. I was so fucking pissed. Then I was throwing shit. I was knocking shit over because I was passionate about the Pistons. And I felt like they got fucking cheated. Nah, in game 6, Robert Ory was busting our ass in the Palace. Because Rasheed Wallace wanted to decide to leave him wide the fuck open. We all know Robert Ory can hit that motherfucker. We all know he probably the greatest clutch shooter of all fucking time. And you gonna let this motherfucker open this shit. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Rasheed, with that bullshit? Don't want to play defense on the outside. That pissed me off. He didn't rotate to his opposition. And then on top of that, Robert Ory was the reason why they won that series. Not Tim Duncan, nobody else. Robert Ory. But they won that series. That pissed me off because, look, we should have won that series. The referees, they start cheating our ass and shit, start calling some bogus ass calls and shit, some fugazi ass shit. That shit was pissing me the fuck off. Which led to the Spurs winning in 7, which was bullshit because the Pistons should have won that game in game 6, but then the referees want to start calling some hoe ass shit. I remember watching that fucking series and watching that fucking game in game 6. It was some flat out bullshit. They was calling bullshit all fucking game. But yeah, man, we used to play each other tough as fuck. Like, that's why I don't really like the Spurs. Because ever since that series, I start hating that ass. I start hating that fucking team. We play the Spurs tough, man. Even today, we kind of play the Spurs tough. So that's number 6. Number 5, the Cavs. And you know how I feel about the fucking Cavaliers or the Fagaliers or whatever you want to call them. The Cleveland Cavaliers, man. Ever since 2007, they been having our fucking number. Like, for real. I remember one year the Pistons went against the Cavaliers and they beat them. I think it was in the semifinals or some shit. They beat the fucking Cavaliers. And the next year in 2007, they all of a sudden motherfucker LeBron James turned into a fucking god and shit in games. I think it was game 6. He turned into fucking Jesus Christ and shit. Start hitting all the goddamn shots. I don't know if that's game 6 or game 5. I think it was I want to say game 6. Yeah, it was game 6. This motherfucker had 48. He scored 48 on our ass, though. They let him score 48. Tayshaun Prince was getting embarrassed. He looked slow. He looked uninterested to defend. It was a nightmare. This dude, LeBron, was hitting 3 after 3 after 3. And LeBron at the time, he really was not known for his three-pointers. Especially at that time, that period of time. He really was not known for his three-pointers. LeBron, he never really been a great three-point shooter. I mean, he better now than he used to be. But at that time, he was really not a three-point shooter back then. At that point, he couldn't shoot threes worth a lick. But in that particular game, he was making the motherfuckers, and he was busting our ass. And then also he was driving to the hole, dunking on motherfuckers. That shit was horrible. He scored 48 on our ass. He was busting threes, hitting mid-range shots, dunking on motherfuckers. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That game pissed me off. That was the same year the Cavaliers went to the finals and got swept. That shit pissed me the fuck off. And it still does to this goddamn day. We should have been the team going against the goddamn Spurs. I think that was the Eastern Conference Finals while you bullshitting. That was the Eastern Conference Finals. And we lost the Eastern Conference Finals to the Cavaliers when LeBron James was busting our ass. He single-handedly beat us that game, seriously. And that was LeBron James' best game of his career. And then the Cavaliers, even today, we play these motherfuckers. We played them this year. Throughout the season, we bust their ass in the season. And then the playoffs come, they swept us. Even though every game we took them to the fucking limit. Reason why we lost to them, number one, they did a hacker Dre bullshit. Otherwise, they would have won 2 games. And number 2, inexperience and having young-ass players. That's the reason why we lost to the damn Cavaliers. I expect the Pistons to become a better team next season. I expect them to go past the first round, and I expect them to have a higher seed than the 8th seed because this team is on their rise. Everybody's saying this team is on their rise. That's the greatest. The Pistons, the greatest team that ever gets swept and shit. You never seen a team that got swept 4-0 and took a first seed to their limit every fucking game. You never seen that shit until the Pistons did that shit. They the greatest. They one of the greatest 8 seeds of all time. How the fuck? Usually you see 8 seeds get swept and shit, but they got swept. But they took their ass to the limit. They could have won 2 games. All them games was close, except maybe game 2, but the rest of them was close. They took their ass to the limit, and them games was intense as fuck. Them games was fun to watch, man. I'm gonna tell you that now. Number 4, Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, let me start off by saying we bust their ass in the 80s for the most part. Well, they bust our ass, and we bust their ass. In 88, we should have had 3. We should have had 3 rings in the 80s. 3, not 2, but 3. 3. And guess what? We didn't. You know why? Because they want to cheat the fucking Pistons in 1988 when we went against the Lakers in the finals, and they gave that phantom ass foul call to the Kareem for him to shoot them free throws, even though it wasn't a fucking foul to begin with by Bill Laimbeer, and they called that fucking shit. That was some bullshit. Number 1. Number 2, Isaiah Thomas was hurt, and he still was fucking balling. If you see any player of today with an injury that he had, man, a player today in today's NBA, they'll sit out if they have a fucking jammed finger. They'll sit out. They'll sit out from having cramps on their fucking ass crack and shit, or they'll sit out. They'll sit out just because their socks is turned the wrong way or some shit. Get the fuck out of here, man. Y'all soft as fuck compared to Isaiah Thomas. He played through a fucking ankle injury and still fucking balled. He still was clowning the Lakers. And he had a way more serious injury. Some shit he had to get surgery for. He had a real fucking injury. He was balling on the Lakers. They cheated. They cheated for the fucking Lakers in the 80s against the Pistons that year. 89, they bust the Lakers' ass. They killed this fucking team. They beat the shit out of them Lakers. They beat the Lakers like a motherfucker. And then 2004, they dominated the Lakers. I remember when people were saying back in 04, I was rooting for the Pistons. And I'm like, they're going to go to the finals. They're going to beat everybody. I remember when people were saying, I remember when they had the Lakers and shit, they had Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Rick Fox, Derek Fisher, and all these other motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? I think Robert Horry was on that team too, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was on that team for that year. And somehow they still lose to the Pistons. They're like, they took us. Kobe gonna talk about, even to this day, talking about he took us lightly or whatever. He ain't played. The reason why they won because we took him lightly and shit like that. Actually, y'all did, but you didn't. Y'all played hard, but you still lost. You know why you still lost? Kobe Bryant. You know why you still lost? Because they was shutting your bitch ass the fuck down. You ain't take them lightly. You took a bunch of jump shots, ball hogging and shit. You was ball hogging. The Pistons shutting that shit the fuck down. And I knew the Pistons gonna beat their ass when they went to the finals. I'm like, if the Pistons go to the finals, they gonna win. They shut the Lakers the fuck down. Kobe couldn't do shit. Shaquille O'Neal was getting shit through, and his pockets picked all over the fucking place. He couldn't do shit. Karl Malone really couldn't. He wasn't really available. He was injured or whatever the fuck. You got even if he was healthy, I still think they would have lost. They would shut his ass down too. Gary Payton didn't do shit. Nobody else did shit. They shut their ass the fuck down. Held their ass under 70 points a bunch of games and shit. Maybe except one game. But they held their ass. they couldn't really score on the fucking Pistons. And that year, the Pistons had one of the greatest defenses I ever fucking seen. They will lock any team in the NBA today. Any team. Warriors, Thunder, Cavaliers. I don't give a fuck what team it is. They will shut their ass the fuck down. And I don't want to hear this conversation. Tell me, oh, they'll beat anybody. The fuck out of here. The Warriors will beat the 04 Pistons. I remember when somebody told me that shit, like, the fuck? Man, they'll shut their ass the fuck down, man. Please. Stop it. And by the way, head checking wasn't in the NBA by that point, by the way. And they were shutting teams down. And they shut the Lakers the fuck down. Kobe couldn't do shit, and they embarrassed that fucking team. All right, number 3, the Indiana Pacers. You know that, I bet you the first thing you type up on YouTube will be Detroit Pistons fight the Indiana Pacers, damn it. The Indiana Pacers 2004. Pistons versus Pacers fight. You're going to see some shit like that. I guarantee you. That'll be the first thing that comes up. Because we fought these motherfuckers. I remember Ron Artest, fuck you. I remember Steven Jackson, fuck you. And I remember Jermaine O'Neal, fuck you. Was trying to fight the fans and shit. I know for a fact the fans started the shit, though. Because he threw that fucking beer. I don't know what it was. A beer can or whatever the fuck it was. A cup or some shit. They threw that shit at his ass. He went into the crowd trying to beat his ass. Nah, I ain't gonna lie. They started that shit, but come on now. Come on, dog. And then on top of that, Ben Wallace he was beating somebody's ass too. You know what I'm saying? So Rasheed was trying to break the shit up. And then the game just got out of control. You know, but fuck, I know Steven Jackson on the jump, but to this day, fuck you, bitch. You a bitch. I still don't like his ass. To this fucking day. I don't give a fuck what team or how he changed around. Fuck that bitch. Ever since that day, he tried to fight them fans. Fuck you, bitch. I can't stand you. That's why the Pistons bust that ass in 04 and 05. That's why they're busting that ass. Motherfucker. And even today, we play each other tough. Even today, we play each other tough as fuck. Usually comes down to the wire. Usually. So, yeah, Pacers number 3. Number 2, the Celtics. You already know what number 1 is going to be. The Celtics, though. This started with the Bad Boys Pistons when the Bad Boys Pistons, they used to fight. They used to try to fight Larry Bird and shit. They used to knock motherfuckers on their ass. Dennis Rodman and motherfucking Keith Van Horn and and Bill Laimbeer, they were some fucking goons and shit. Especially Keith Van Horn. Especially Van Horn. That motherfucker tried to knock people on their ass like he used to try to fuck people up. I remember one time I think he bumped Larry Bird. This nigga, he said, boop, this nigga fell, dog. They used to get physical with that fucking team, man. They used to be fighting and shit. Be beating each other ass and shit. The games used to get real as fuck. They used to get physical. And also, they've been rivals for years before even that time period. Man, the Celtics used to always go against the Pistons in the playoffs in the 80s a bunch of times. Even though we came on a losing end, but we always gave them problems until like 89, 90 when we start beating them. So, yeah, like, we gave them problems, you know what I'm saying? So, and then the Celtics, man, that shit used to get real. Even today, we still play each other to the fucking wire sometime. Even this year. So, number 2, Celtics. Number 1, the Chicago Bulls. This shit goes deep. The Detroit versus Chicago rivalry is deep as fuck. Look, Michael Jordan is a bitch. How the fuck you gonna prevent Isaiah Thomas to go to the dream team? Like, how the fuck you gonna say he can't be on the dream team? When the fuck you run the USA fucking organization as far as the Olympics? When the fuck you run the US Team Olympics? When? Bitch, you ain't the coach. You ain't the organized guy. Who the fuck are you? You just a fucking player. The fuck out of here. And Isaiah Thomas was clearly one of the best players in the league at that time. That's some bullshit. That's why I don't fuck with Jordan. That shit, and then the way he talks shit about us and all this shit. Fuck Michael Jordan. And y'all suck. And people in Detroit suck his fucking dick and buying his shoes and shit. And he don't even like black people. Get the fuck out of here. He don't like his own fucking race for real. And that's probably why the Hornets and Bobcats always play us fucking tough as hell. Maybe because of Jordan. I don't know. He'd be like, well, this is the Pistons. I want you to play them extra fucking hard. I know he'd be telling the players that shit. So fuck you, Jordan. Fuck that motherfucker. His old... Fuck that dickhead motherfucker. Fuck him. Fuck Jordan. Fuck the Bulls. And, man, you know it's a rivalry, man. They used to knock Jordan on his ass. They used to smack the fuck out of Jordan. They used to they used to treat him like a bitch. Joe Dumars just shut his ass the fuck down. It was just crazy back in the 80s and early 90s. He used to bust, man, he used to kill the fucking Bulls. I know that one year he beat us and shit, and we didn't shake his hand. You know why? Because we hate the fucking Bulls. I still hate the fucking Bulls, believe it or not. And then on top of that, you know the rivalry's still going strong today because earlier this season, we went to triple overtime with this fucking team. The Pistons scored 147 points. 147 points against the Bulls in triple OT. It came down to the wire. This game was tough as hell. It was... I remember watching that game. KCP went the fuck off at the last minute. That's what helped us win the game. And then Andre Drummond was clowning too. That's when you know this rivalry's still alive. That's when you know. But yeah, man, this rivalry is still going on to this day. Even without the legends involved. And every time we play the Bulls, we always play them pretty tough. They play us tough. They always try to have... They had the extra chip on their shoulder when they face the Pistons. So the games be fun to watch, man. If I'm outside outlet, I'll be watching some of these games like the Pistons Bulls still. I'll still watch that. I'll watch the Pistons Hornets and games like that, and the Pistons Pacers. Them the games I'll be watching. Well, yeah, man, that's it for the video. I'm gonna give out shout out. Shout out to 313 Hitman. Shout out to East 1LB. Shout out to Everything King. Shout out to Dante Chase, the Ace Taker, Jay. Who else I'm missing? Craig Jockman. Shout out to y'all. And shout out to everybody that's a Detroit Pistons fan. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to everybody all the Detroit versus everybody coalitions. Shout out to y'all, man. But that's all I got to say in this video, man. Tell me what you think about the Pistons rivalry. The rivalries against these teams. Peace.